Welcome back to another video. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. Delighted to bring on Jason McGovern to talk about Tottenham and to talk about this huge game on Sunday in the Premier League. Arsenal against Spurs in the Premier League. Jace, is a must-win game, isn't it?
Absolutely. They all are now, mate. We had to, after the run that we'd had, we had to start winning games. And 9 points, those 9 points in a week where pretty much every other team dropped points has give us a chance. But you only have that chance if you keep winning, because, you know, if you were to lose Sunday and the others win, then you're back to 5 or 6 points behind and there's one less game to catch it. So, you know, we definitely can't lose it, but it's time to go there and win. You know, our record there is appalling, absolutely appalling. And our record, in fairness, not even at the Emirates, our Premier League record against them is what, just 2 wins in, was it 27 years or something like that? So, you know,
once at Highbury, once at Highbury
in the 3-1,
yeah, and then once at the Emirates.
And the Highbury win was a couple of days before a cup final or something, so kind of a hollow win at that respect. Last day of the season and an empty game. John Hendry scored, didn't he? A couple, and there you go. That tells you how good that game was. That Tottenham had John Hendry playing up front in a North London derby, so that tells you the worth of that game. So it's time to win there. We won there in the cup a couple of years ago. Now you got to go there and win in the league. And the frustration is we've been 2-0 up there a couple of times in recent years and not held on. So it's time to put it to bed.
Trace, what have you made of Arsenal's season so far? Because, you know, when I look at their results, you know, they've had some very good results. They've had some very poor results, very inconsistent. They've won 11 in the Premier League. They've lost 11. And, you know, they're a mid-table club. They're sitting in 10th place.
They are. You're right. They've had, I mean, you know, to lose at home to Burnley was a ridiculous result, and they've had a few, haven't they? They got mullered by Aston Villa, didn't they? 3-0 or something like that at home to Villa. But maybe that's systematic, symptomatic, not systematic, symptomatic of the season. You know, you're looking at Liverpool now with 6 straight defeats and things like that. There's so many strange things going on this season. But yeah, they've, I think, and yet they beat Chelsea quite well there, didn't they? If I remember rightly, absolutely run riot over Chelsea in every sense. So it's been a strange old season, but we're a better side than them, and that's why we're above them in the table.
Simon writes on screen now, Jace, nice to see you back. Where have you been?
I was hiding behind that low block system until apparently Lucas Moura talked him out of it, and so I'm grateful to Lucas Moura. I want to see Lucas Moura play every single game now if he's talked him out of that low block system.
I love it. Every time you're on Last Word on Spurs now, we seem to score 4 goals. So is that the deal now with Ricky?
Well, let's hope I'm on Sunday night, mate. I might ask to come on if we've won 4-1 just to keep it going, but I'll take a 1-0 in the 90th minute at the moment.
Jason, on Thursday night, obviously Tottenham beat Dynamo Zagreb in the Europa League 2-0. That is now 5 wins on the trot for Spurs. But before that, we'd lost 5 games in the Premier League in 6. Now, what has changed for you? How's Jose Mourinho and Tottenham changed this around?
I honestly believe that we've just changed the approach of our game. We've stopped trying to hold on to 1-0 leads and sitting backwards, and we've decided, ever since that Everton Cup tie, and everyone went mad and said that's why we can't play this football, because look at that, we scored 4 but let in 5. But I think that gave the freedom to players to say, right, go out and do it. Gareth Bale's come into the side. That's obviously made a difference as well. But we're not playing 4-3-3. We're playing 4-2-3-1. We're getting more attacking players on the pitch. We're getting them in better positions. And, you know, the surprising thing is we're defending better. It's not a surprise to me, but those people that said you can't play that football because we haven't got the defenders to do it, the more time we have the ball in the opposition's half, the less chance there is to hurt us. And I think you're seeing that now, that we're not as vulnerable, and we defended really well, I thought, against Palace. Even set pieces, we actually defended pretty well. We made that sloppy error for Benteke, but, you know, most corners and things we're getting a head on, and most of the things we're getting blocks on. But if you constantly invite pressure and sit back, you face more free kicks, you face more corners, you face more shots on your target. And if all those things are coming in at you more, the chances are you'll concede more goals. So it's not just, for me, it's not just the feeling of playing attacking football or wanting to see attacking football. We're better defensively when we play attacking football. And I think you're seeing it at both ends. And Gareth Bale has obviously come in. he's now playing with a bit of freedom, and Kane's just immense. And so even though Sonny's not quite as he was, we're still getting those results, and that's what I want to see us doing. And I hope we go to the Emirates and do that.
What is there left to say about Harry Kane, Jace? Because, you know, on Thursday night in the Europa League, you know, he's playing that ball in our half, and then he ends up finishing the ball, puts it in the net. You know, what more can we say about him? He's just incredible.
It was an amazing performance. I mean, some of his passing range. He hit one ball to Sonny that was almost blindside and bent around the last defender, and it absolutely inch perfect. And, you know, I said it on the last word on Spurs. He is the best player in the Premier League by a million miles this season. And that's not to say there's not other great players around. Bruno Fernandes is having a good season, but it's less goals and less assists than Kane. There is nobody that's making that ratio of goals and assists. We saw him make a goal line clearance against Palace. He kicked one off the line on Wednesday night. I mean, he just does everything for us, winning the ball, setting the tempo, the talisman, goals, assists. It's just incredible, his performances. And, you know, it doesn't get anywhere near the respect. All you still ever hear is, oh, he'll have to leave to get a trophy. And, you know, it's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous, the criticism and the Harry Kane signature move and things. The man is absolutely immense, and he is a million miles the best player in the Premier League this season.
Of all the people to come on this channel and mention the word trophy before me, I never thought it'd be you. Let's talk about trophies, Jace. You know, how are you feeling about it?
They haven't come yet.
How are you feeling about the trophy situation? Because, of course, you know, me banging on about trophies all the time, 13 years since our last trophy, we're in a League Cup final. First of all, how are you feeling about that? And can Tottenham get to, or will Tottenham get to the final of the Europa League this season?
I will never say we'll win it until I see us cross that line at least one time. There will always be those doubts until you do it. And maybe they're in the players' minds. But, you know, you can sit here and be positive. And I think we've got a chance against City, albeit a very small one, because they're just phenomenal at the moment. Let's be fair about it. They're on such a brilliant... I know they lost to United, but they bounced straight back with a 5-2 against Southampton. I think they've only been behind in that Man United game. Is the only game they've trailed in, isn't it, in about 25 games. So that tells you how strong they are, and they've won it 3 years in a row now. So we'll definitely be underdogs. But if we get a little bit of fortune on the day, there's no reason to say we can't. But we have to do it first before I can really sit here and say we will do it. If you understand what I mean. In terms of the Europa League, I think we'll be in that quarter final, and then it's, you know, who we get in. I don't want an English team ideally at all. I'm quite old fashioned. I want European competition to be European competition. That's not because I fear an English team. I want to play the European teams rather than the English teams that we play, you know, twice a season anyway. And the thought of playing, you know, when this draw was going on, the thought of playing Arsenal 3 times in a week, I think it diminishes from the Premier League game then as well. So there's enough things to go on with the Premier League, and Man United will be later on. So let's play European teams, and if we have to meet one of them, then hopefully it's in the final.
Yeah, I think the only teams that I wouldn't want to face is AC Milan or Manchester United. I think that Tottenham can beat all of the other clubs. You know, how are you feeling about it? What clubs would you not want to face in the next round?
I think United's probably the hardest one, because their away record is so good. I mean, when they go to Manchester City, a win. So AC Milan didn't really frighten me, and I think Man United will go there and get a result. So I think Man United are probably the favourites for the competition, and maybe a one-off game will suit us more than 2 legs in a weird, strange way. And I think they're smarting from that 6-1 as well. You know, that will have hurt. Yeah. And when that game comes around, you can be sure that result will get plenty of attention in both managers' press conferences, and it will be in the heads of those Man United players. Look, this can't happen again. So you know, it will be a tough game with Man United for sure. But other than them, there's no one that really scares me at all.
Jace, going back to the North London derby, of course, on Sunday at the Emirates Stadium in the Premier League. Now, what does the North London derby mean to you personally? When was the first time that you watched the North London derby, and you know, how special is it to you?
I think my first one that I can remember was losing 5-0 to them on a Boxing Day when Leon Brady scored his goal. Was that 78, 79 season? But I think the first time my first one I went to was 82 when Garth Crooks scored in the FA Cup game. We beat them 1-0, and obviously as cup holders went on to defend the trophy that year. And I think it was a slip from Pat Jennings. He let a real soft shot go under him. And so to see Pat Jennings, of all people, make that mistake at Tottenham. But even then, I probably wasn't aware of the, I knew the rivalry, but I didn't feel the rivalry. But it was probably 87 season when Arsenal came to White Hart Lane and won 2-1 3 times in a month. They beat us 2-1 in the league on a really wet January day, and then we had the second leg that we lost 2-1 to take it to a replay, and then we lost 2-1 at home in the replay. And I think that semi-final, over the 200 odd minutes of the tie, the only time we trailed was the very last minute of extra time when Ian Allinson put one under Ray Clement. So that's when I really started to feel the animosity of it. And ever since then, it's been the most important day of the season for me. I've made a joke, I know, and I've said the Premier League for me is 36 friendlies and 2 proper matches. And these are the 2 that, I've been called into work this weekend, and I said there is no way I'm working on Sunday. It's the most important day of the year for me, and will always be that. And I know there's rivalries with Chelsea and West Ham, but they pale into total insignificance to this game and this lot. So no, it's the game that gets me buzzing, mate. That's for sure.
So how you feel when you wake up Sunday morning? Because some of us feel nervous, some of us feel excited, some of us feel just so many different emotions in this game. Personally, I love going to a North London derby, and I was very, very lucky to be one of those ones that went to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium to be one of them 2000 when we beat them 2-0 earlier this season. And the buzz of being there and the buzz of watching your club, and I get that buzz about this game. But a lot of people feel very nervous about it. How are you going to be feeling Sunday morning?
I think it's a strange one. When I wake up, I usually feel nervous and bit the pit of the stomach. I think, just hurry up to kick off. And I think during the game, I don't like it at all. You just sit there and you're going through so many emotions. Every time they come into your half or get a corner, you're on the edge, and it's a stomach churning game, that's for sure. And it's I feel knackered come the end of it. I feel like I've played in the game. I've gone through every emotion and so many highs. Your voice is hoarse. The only advantage now that I have, through when I was living in Thailand, of course, with the time difference, I'd wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning, and you'd have to wait until pretty much midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, for the game to play. So it was like a build up for 15 hours or something, and that was an absolute nightmare. So I'd far sooner it be 11:30 Sunday and set the alarm at 9 o'clock and just get it over with. But if you win it, there's just not a better feeling. Then for the next week, you're just on such a high. And if the results gone against you, I mean, that 4-2 a couple of years ago was painful, wasn't it? Really painful. And you feel it. I'll be as miserable as sin and snapping at everyone. So any customer that comes into me Monday, if we've lost, we'll get a tirade of abuse, and they'll wonder what the hell they've done.
Jace, how does Jose Mourinho approach this game? Do we use the same tactics and the same way that we beat them earlier this season at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium? Because Arsenal had a lot of the ball that day.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because he's kind of gone away from that. He's looked over the last few games to try and dominate the ball. And it's, like I said, I see Lucas Moura's comments that, the players are more or less convinced him, look, we're good players. We want to play with the ball. We feel like we should be dominating the ball. I think probably there'll be some compromise on that. And it wouldn't surprise me if we do approach the game in exactly the same way as we did the home game. I was quite critical in the home game, despite us winning it, that we spent the second half against a team that I said at the time, I think they were at 14th in the table, I think, on the day. They were 14th in the table on a terrible run of form. Yeah. And we never had a single shot at goal in that second half in our stadium, and watched them pass it around. And whilst we won that game and everyone was delighted with it, I was embarrassed watching us at home to a team 14th, not have a single shot at goal for half of football. So, I hope we do go to the Emirates and we do play on the front foot, and we look to get. I think we've got the team to do it. But yes, there's risks involved in that, and Aubameyang and Lacazette can give you problems. And Saka, I rate Saka. I think he's a super little player. So they've got players that can get behind us. But I think if you live in fear of them, it's terrible. You're still playing an Arsenal that's 10th. You're not playing Thierry Henry's Arsenal that have won the league title and things like that. And I think we have to get away from that. And if we were going to any other team that was 10th we should be looking to dominate that game. And if it was Newcastle or Villa or Everton or whoever, we'd be playing on that front foot. So let's go there on the front foot. That's not a guarantee to win it. It can still go wrong. And then everyone will say, well, we shouldn't have done it. But I don't want to look in hindsight. I want us to be brave, go there and have a go. And if we do that, then I don't have the regrets.
Trace, why do you think Tottenham's record away from home, either at Highbury or the Emirates, is so bad? Why have we won there twice since the Premier League started back in 92-93? What is it about that ground?
I don't know. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Because, in fairness, a lot of that time, through the 90s, through certainly up to the mid-2000s, they were a miles better side than us, let's be fair. When we were going there with Andy Sinton and Clive Wilson, and they had Bergkamp and players like that there, it was no surprise we were going to get beat. And, Thierry Henry running 70 yards around Matthew Etherington and Jamie Redknapp told you all you needed to know. But I think the first one where it started to change was that 1-1 draw where Yo and Wenger had the bust up, and we were running for top four with them. And we went there, and I think we led 1-0, didn't we, that day, and couldn't hold on. But since then, I think we've gone there. We've gone there favourites plenty of times, and maybe they've handled that better than we have. Perhaps we just haven't handled the pressure of going there as favourites. We've had Paul Mersons and things saying, in a joint team there'd be 11 Spurs players, and that riles them. It would wind you up if it was said about us the other way round. And funnily enough, through that record of them being a much better side than us, they didn't actually win too often at White Hart Lane during that time. We could get up for that game, and I think that's how they've done it. They've got up for it. We've gone 2-0 up, and maybe we've taken the P and been giving it the Olays a little bit too early, and they've used that to motivate themselves. And that's what we can't do. Just go there, play the game. Don't get caught up in all the noise. I know as fans we do, but as players, go there and say we're playing a team 10th. Don't get caught up in the noise, and you do the right things. There's periods of the game you're going to have to suffer. If you take a half-time lead, that the opposition will come at you hard in those opening 10, 15 minutes of the second half. You just manage the game in that way and take away that it's Arsenal. There's no fans there. That might actually make a difference because, that's the one game their fans do get up for. So if we can get that early lead, there's no reason for us to throw it away this time.
Jose Mourinho has only lost 2 of his 22 matches against Arsenal in all competitions. And earlier today in his press conference, he said, Arsenal, I look up, not down the table. What do you make of those comments?
Well, it's factually true, isn't it? And it seems to have riled them a little bit. They're back on there. He's obsessed with us. But if he's asked a question, he gave an honest, factual answer. They are below us. It's simple as that. So there's lots of good statistics Mourinho's had that have gone pear-shaped for him at Tottenham, never losing to a promoted sides and all those types of things. And we've joked in our group about it. And I've said, there we go, there's another new level we've gone to. And, never losing games on Boxing Days and all those types of things. And one by one, those horrible records have come to, he's had more losses in a home season this year than he's ever done before and all those things. So, the game's played on the pitch. You can do all the talking outside of it. You've got to concentrate on 96, 97 minutes of football on Sunday, and let's just concentrate on that and let them play the shenanigans after the game.
Jason, I had a few messages here about your birthday, wishing you a happy birthday. One from Paul here, another one coming here. Tell everyone about the message that I sent you, the picture of the birthday cake with Jose Mourinho on. You were delighted with that, weren't you?
Yeah, well, and then that idiot transfer guru sent me one with Danny Rose on, which made it even worse. So it was preferable to the Danny Rose one. But I think I gave you a curt, nice, polite reply to your cake there. That's well,
this is a bit of a personal joke, so the viewers might not understand. You're not Jose Mourinho's #1 fan, but I'm going to ask you this honestly. You've got to give Jose Mourinho some sort of credit now, Jace, because we went through this spell of 5 defeats in 6 in the Premier League. He was under huge pressure. A lot of the Tottenham Hotspur fans were getting on his back, saying a lot of sort of Jose out, on Twitter, etc. You've got to give him some credit for him turning it around.
Well, you can look at that 2 ways. You can say it was him that put us in the situation in the first place. with a low block for 15 games that cost us point after points after points. And it's perhaps a little meeting that the players had with him to say, we've got to start getting on the front foot, which I said we should have been playing all season, that's caused the turnaround. But in fairness to him, he's taken that on board, and he has gone a little bit more on the front foot. I feared after Everton that he'd turn around and say, that's what happens. Look, I told you couldn't play that way. But he's kept that going, and we've started well, and we're now looking to dominate games. And that's what I would, like I've said, if he does that, Chris, I don't mind. My fear is always that the low block comes in, and I think that West Ham game was pivotal for both teams this season. It destroyed us, and it gave him fear of us playing attacking football, and it's made West Ham. They've just gone from strength to strength after that. So, yes, he deserves credit for getting a turnaround, but it was him that was in charge of 1-1 draws against Palace and Wolves and Fulham. Fulham at home, a team that was 18th in the table, and we sat on a 1-0 at home. That's unbearable as a Spurs fan to watch that. So fortunately, he's turned it around, and I hope he can keep going. If we can pick up a trophy or we keep playing this way, I'll be delighted. And that's all I've ever said about it. It's the style of football that matters to me more than anything else. I'm an old-fashioned Spurs fan that grew up watching us play attacking football. The principles of that football is what made me support Tottenham. If I want to watch low block system, I can go and watch Bolton do that. It's not Tottenham, and I want to watch Tottenham.
Well, Kev writes here, it's great to see you're getting behind Jose, and well done on that one, Jason.
I might be behind him on the edge of a cliff, mate. But if I see that low block come back, I'll be behind him, that's for sure. But no, let's hope he stays doing it. If he stays doing it, one thing I've not had a go at him for is the actual results. I've always said it's the style that's the problem with it. I haven't said Mourinho out because we drew to Fulham. What my angle is why are we sitting back at home on a 1-0 lead to a team that's 18th in the table? And that's my criticism of him. I can accept if we play front foot football, we'll lose games. There's no system that makes you win every game. But to me, get on that front foot and use the players like Bale, like Son, like Kane, and make them the superstars, not try and turn Toby, Dyer and Sanchez into our superstars, because they're not.
Well, you say about Gareth Bale there, Jace. This last month or so, he has turned into the superstar we know that signed for us, re-signed. Because back in the summer when he turned up at Hotspur Way, of course, all of us were super excited about having him back. It hasn't quite worked out, but in this last month or two, we've seen him deliver what we know he can do. So he is going to be, a vital part of from now until the end of the season, isn't he?
He is, and those. We're talking about the big games coming up, that Manchester City final, quarterfinals, ideally semi-finals and things of Europa League. Hopefully that big match experience of being there. We've always said we need a winner. And let's be fair, he's won, 16 trophies in his time. So hopefully he can sort that mentality out. And he does, he's got that ability to score a goal from nothing, hasn't he? We've seen that. And the quality of goals he's scoring is, I thought the second goal he scored on Sunday when he picked up the ball wide and hit a wonderful crossfield ball, and then just to see him running into the box, getting onto the end of a chance. That's what you want to see Gareth doing, and I'm delighted to see him doing that. And now we finally start to think, let's have him back next season.
Jason's got to read this comment out. I don't care if we play low block, mid block, or Jenny from the block, as long as we win. Exactly right, isn't it?
Well, that's perhaps the one game where it is more important to win the game. But you know what I'm getting at. I don't want to see us play Jenny from the block at home to a team 18th in the Premier League. That's for sure. I never want to, and I don't care if we win it 1-0 playing a team 18th in the Premier League. I want to see proper football.
Jay, team news for both teams. Arsenal have no injury worries. Jose Mourinho has confirmed that Giovanni Lo Celso remains out for us, but
Really?
all the other players are available. What has happened to Lo Celso? When are we going to get him back?
Well, it's. I think I made the stat the other day. It's how many games we played this year? What are we up to? 27.
Yeah.
So that's 65 Premier League games since he signed, and he's completed 90 minutes 8 times. I mean, that's shocking. Yeah. Shocking statistic. He's either coming back from injury or having to play through an injury. You can't help being injured. And the sad thing is we know he's a good player, and if he's fit and we get that player fit, it'll be a massive advantage to the squad, and you start to see that dream midfield of Ndombele, Højbjerg and Lo Celso. But we saw it once or twice this year, and it didn't work because one of them wasn't fit. And finally, Ndombele's getting through 90 minutes, so we need Lo Celso to be fit. But he's going to get fit just as the season's coming to an end, isn't he? And that's the frustration again. But he's a super player, but he needs to get on the pitch. He really does. I mean, in fairness, I was going to say, when you look at Lamella's injury record, it's as bad. But I thought Eric Lamela against Zagreb had a magnificent game.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Recently, in my opinion, I think that Eric Lamela, this last month or so, is probably his best month since he signed back in 2013 in a Tottenham shirt. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think he's getting a run of game. I mean, they're still frustrated. I mean, the shot that he hit the post with is because he's so left-footed. You think, just put it in with your right foot, but he had to go with his left. But his all-round play, I thought, on Thursday night was excellent. He had a really, really good game, set the tempo, was constantly looking for the ball. There's still times when he holds it too long, but he looked a really good game, I thought, Thursday night. One of the best games I've seen him have for a long, long time.
Jace, Arsenal have only won 2 in their past 7 league games. No clean sheets in 6. With the forward line of Harry Kane, Heung-min Son and Gareth Bale, you're expecting goals in this game.
Well, I think it's a game that's produced lots and lots of goals, isn't it? Particularly the one there from 4-4 draws, and there's been 5-2s and 4-2s and 2-2 draws and things like that. So I do expect goals to come. And it's a strange game, isn't it? I don't know what the stats are, but I would imagine the team that scored first in this game has lost it far more than any other fixture. Normally the first goal in a game is what, a 70% chance of winning the game if you score first. But this game, it doesn't seem to matter. We've seen Arsenal score first and Spurs win it. We've seen Spurs score first and Arsenal win it. So you get massive turnarounds in this. We saw it at White Hart Lane last season, didn't we? When Lacazette scored first and we go on to win it. So it's probably not a good one to see if you take the lead in it. You think, oh no, we've scored too early, and it's one of those types of games. But I think there'll be goals. If we play front foot football, I feel we score more than they will. But we have to play front foot football to do it.
Jace, Harry Kane, as we've spoke about, he's the leading goal scorer in North London derbies. 11 goals in 14 league and cup appearances. Now, with William Hill, you can get 5-1 for Harry Kane to score first. And what a bet this is. Aubameyang and Harry Kane to score in the game. David Luiz and Toby Alderweireld to be carded. 80-1. Do you fancy that one?
That's good odds, isn't it? Toby to be carded. Not sure. He doesn't pick up too many yellows, Toby. So Kane and Aubameyang to score, I can see. David Luiz to be booked, I can see. Pierre-Emile Højbjerg to be booked, I can see. Maybe one or two, Serge Aurier to be booked, I can see. One of those types of games. But
I don't know about you though, Jace, but for me, I love to see yellow cards flying about in a North London derby. I want to see the passion. I want to see Tottenham Hotspur, every single player giving 110% and leaving nothing, out on that pitch. Just give everything.
Yeah, that's important, but it's also just, you still have to keep that little bit of composure. I don't want us to do like we did at Stamford Bridge that year and go absolutely crazy and end up losing the plot completely because we're running around kicking people. So we've had remember when Adi Bayor got sent off there? That was passion, but we were 2-0 up and he makes a crazy tackle and gets himself sent off and we lose 5-2. I don't want to see that type of stupidity. We saw it, didn't we, a couple of years ago with Eric Dyer giving it the shush after scoring, and there was a massive punch up and suddenly we're 4-2 down. So, it can turn things like that. So it's got to be controlled passion. But yeah, I don't mind the tackles going in, that's for sure.
You're far too sensible, James. I just want to kick them.
Well, I tell you what, do it in the tunnel, get the card in the tunnel and then come out with 11 men from the tunnel. That's what you do. You kick them at the right time. You kick them when you're 4-0 up with 5 minutes to go, you can kick them. Yeah.
Jace, let's talk about a predicted lineup. I'll give you my predicted lineup and see what you think. I've written it down here somewhere. What do you think Jose Mourinho's best back four is? Will Davinson Sanchez and Toby Alderweireld play again? Will Eric Dyer come in this time?
I think it will be Sanchez and Toby. Sanchez has had a couple of good games. we finally seem to have settled on that as a pairing. I mean, when we talk about settled, it's only, what, 2 or 3 games, but we've defended well in those games overall. So there's no reason to break it. I think he'll want the pace of Sanchez because Aubameyang tends to go down that right-hand side, doesn't he? Or their left and peel in from that side. So I expect it to be Aurier and Sanchez. And with Serge is a much better Serge this year than he has been, but I still think there'll be the times when you need Sanchez's pace.
So the back four, obviously Hugo Lloris will be playing in goal. So the back four, you're going to go with Serge Aurier at right back?
Yeah.
And then Sergio Reguilon at left back?
Yeah. And Toby and Sanchez. In the centre, yeah. And
then the midfield, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg and Tanguy Ndombele?
Yep, it would be for me. It'll be the same team as Palace for me. But my one thing is that he might, if he wants to think about blocks and things like that, he may bring Moussa Sissoko in and leave Lucas Moura out and just go with a front three. But if it's me, I want Moura, because I think Lucas Moura's been playing really well. I thought he was excellent against Palace, Lucas Moura. So it would be Ndombele, Højbjerg, Moura, Son, Bale, Kane for me. That's the way I would go.
Why do I have this feeling that Eric Dyer is going to play?
I don't know, mate. He seems to have fallen out of favour at last. He's made those mistakes, and I just think the last few Premier League games we've defended pretty well, and Sanchez and Toby has been there. And Eric Dyer came in, I think, to give Toby a rest on Thursday night. I think he will go Toby and Sanchez.
Yeah, let's hope so. So we're going to go with Gareth Bale, Lucas Moura, Heung-min Son and Harry Kane, yeah?
Yeah, that would be my front four. Although I see there George is saying he'd go Lamela. I can understand why he wants Lamela, but I think Lucas Moura's been playing really well. He's been scoring goals. He's been contributing to the team performance. He has a fantastic leap from headers as well, doesn't he? He plays like a centre-half sometimes. He's fantastic leap. So I think, that front three, the pace of that can give them real problems. And so that's the way I'd go.
There's some real good options on the bench now for Tottenham, though, Jace, isn't there, with Jose Mourinho? Because, a lot of the players coming into form, particularly Lucas Moura, Eric Lamela, Gareth Bale, all coming into form at the same time. So it gives us, some real good options for Jose. Absolutely.
The options are there now. And Dele, I didn't think Dele had a great game the other night, but he's now coming back towards the Dele we all hope for. Lamela can produce things, and we know that he likes a London derby, and he can be the shithousery that comes on with the last 10 minutes just to wind people up. But there is options there. And even in midfield, I thought bringing on Moussa Højbjerg when he took off Sissoko and that in the week, there's strength now in all those positions. Yeah. And actually, I thought Ben Davies actually had a good game against Zagreb. Yeah. And so, if you're looking tight, you can always leave. And you change the shape of the team. We've seen Davis come on and he's pushed Reguilon forward, hasn't he, a couple of times this season. So I think the options are there, and that's also helping the results. But they're playing with confidence, and there's enough players now with confidence to say we can go and get something.
An interesting point here from Bob Spur TV. Thanks for your question, Bobby. I cannot put any Arsenal players into a combined 11. Thoughts, guys? Jace, if we were to do a Premier League combined 11 with Tottenham and Arsenal players, how many Arsenal players would get in the starting 11? I can't think of one either.
No. That's not to say I don't think they've got good players, but I wouldn't leave Son out for Aubameyang. I wouldn't leave Gareth Bale out for Saka. And yet I do like Saka. And they've got, their youngsters have impressed, in fairness. But no, they wouldn't be getting in the side. Would you? No, maybe Gabriel over Sanchez or something. I don't know. But not too many. But let's be fair. We've said this for the last 4 or 5 years going there. One of the worst times was when we went there and lost 2-0. I think they scored 2 just before half time or something. And they absolutely played us off the pitch. And there wasn't a single one of their players that you'd have put in our side that day. So, it's all right going there feeling like you're the better team, but you've got to perform on the day in that way. There wasn't a single Fulham player that would make the Liverpool side last week, but they still go there and win. So, you've still got to be careful and you've still got to play the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Jace, how are you feeling for this top four challenge? Do you think the top four is still doable for Tottenham? Obviously, mathematically it is. We've played 27, we've won 13, drawn 6, lost 8. We've got 45 points. We're 5 points away from top four. We've got a game in hand over Chelsea, who are sat fourth. How confident are you that Tottenham can finish in that top four spot?
I think, if I'm honest, we got 11 games left. I think we'll need to win at least 8 of them. At least 8 wins. And we've got to go to Leicester and win. And I think Leicester are the most vulnerable one, because I actually think Chelsea are in really good form, and I can see Chelsea getting stronger, and we haven't got Chelsea to play. So I look at that Leicester game and think, if we win our game in hand, we're 5 points behind Leicester, then you've got to go to Leicester and win, and you've got to make Leicester the vulnerable one. But we can't keep slipping up. You know, if we was to slip up Sunday, you're talking about winning 9 of our last 10. And that's not easy to do when you're trying to compete for Europa Leagues and you've got cup finals and things like that. So whilst we're within touching distance, we've got a chance, but I still think we're a bigger underdog for that position than 1 or 2 people suggest. We've just got to keep winning games.
So would you go along with saying that Tottenham have got more chance of getting in the Champions League next season by winning the Europa League than finishing in the top 4?
I think we have, but the difficulty is, until that plays itself out, you've got to prioritise Premier League games. So, you know, when you go to a quarter final, I think, for instance, I think the Manchester United Premier League game is between 2 legs of the Europa League, which actually Man United might have. But if Man United have got top 4 sewn up, it's a different prospect. But I mean, we could be playing a semi-final first leg, Man United a semi-final second leg, and then you've got to prioritise your game. So let's see where we are at that stage. I think at the moment, Premier League, you win the next game, and as long as we keep winning it, we'll have a chance. But if we were to lose Sunday, then I definitely think you have to then start thinking it's priority for the Europa League.
I just feel now it's a lot to do, particularly after we lost those 5 games in that period of time. I think there's an awful lot to do, but it is a crazy season in the Premier League, and anything can happen. Jace, lastly, what's your score prediction for Sunday's game? I'm going 3-2 Tottenham. I'm
going for a 2-1 Tottenham, a nervy 2-1, but we have to do it. It's time to go there and start performing and win there. Like I say, we did it in the Cup a couple of years ago. Harry Kane didn't play that game, of course, did he? He came off the bench that day, and Son and Dele Alli got the goals. But it's time to go there and perform properly and win, and that's what we've got to do. We simply have to do it, not just because it's the derby, but the whole season, the top 4 and everything. Go there and win the game. We've got to win it to celebrate your birthday properly, and have a Jaeger bomb over a Zoom call. Have a Jaeger bomb over a Costa coffee cup, if you remember. Jace, thank you very much. Enjoy the game on Sunday. Let's hope that Tottenham get the 3 points, and we can have the bragging rights for another year. Because do you know what? The last time we done the double in league competition was back in I think it was a long time ago. I can't remember. That's how long ago it is. I can't actually remember. I can't remember. But was it that season that we won 3-1 at the Emirates? Actually, sorry, it was the 92-93 season. We won 1-0 at home and we won 3-1. That was the first Premier League season. That was, yeah. I think that's probably it. So there you go. That shows how long ago it was. It's too long. It's too long, and we've been a better side than them for the last 7 or 8 years, and it's time to go and do it. Everton did it at Anfield. Let's take Man United have just gone to Man City and done it. So there's your stage, and now go and follow those 2 doing it. Exactly. Jace, thanks very much for joining me. Lovely to have you back on, and let's hope that you can celebrate your birthday in style Sunday afternoon. Jace, thank you very much, and come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Spurs.